All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, and of course, we just finished with Week 9 of the NFL. So, of course, it's only natural to want to go into Week 10 and get things started on the next week of football. So, let's get our Week 10 NFL pick'em out of the way. We did really good last week. We went 10-3, which carries a three straight weeks of doing pretty solid. Has bumped our record all the way up to 76, 59-1. So, starting to get up there. Maybe this week we can get up over 20 games. So let's just hope that the good picking continues and we kind of keep up the good streaks, and we've been doing really good lately, so that's been really helpful, and hopefully I've been helping you out with your picks as well. Thank you again for everyone who's been watching the videos, subscribing to the channel. We're like 100 away from getting to 8,000, which has been like the channel goal, so I appreciate that. So make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Just getting the YouTube stuff out of the way, so I do apologize. Those things do like really help the video out and make it perform a lot better, so I apologize. But like, subscribe, and make sure you leave your comments down below, like your picks, what you think of the picks. Just as you can tell, I get back to just about every comment on these kind of videos, so be sure to leave that down below, like, and all that other crap. And let's move on and get to the picks. Don't worry, that's out of the way. It's done with. You'll never hear about it again unless you listen all the way to the end, and then you could also win. No, just kidding. Anyway, let's get started on Week 10 of the NFL Pick'em. So, of course, we have the bye weeks to, get out of the way. There's only 4 teams off this week, so there is 14 games to go over. This week we'll have the Ravens, Bengals, Jets, and Patriots. So, if you're a fan of one of these 4 teams, you just kind of got to watch other teams. Maybe, one of your enemy teams loses, or a team you kind of also like wins. So, something else to watch. Sad for me because there's no Patriots this week. So anyway, those are the bye weeks, and let's get to the actual action. Thursday night football coming right up. It'll be another barn burner. Everyone's probably super excited for this one. It just seems like Thursday night is getting all of the good games. The great, unreal matchups like the Bears and Commanders. The Falcons and Panthers are another great pantheon one. The Eagles and Texans last week. This is another really good Thursday night matchup. The Falcons are favored by 3 with an over-under of 44.5. Again, I include all the lines after I do all my picks. So that, this week I picked a lot of favorites and a lot of home teams. But this is just kind of when you see the matchups, you'll be like, oh, that makes a lot more sense why that happened. But in this one, again, all the lines are from FanDuel. I just put them up there after I do all my picks, so people have a reference point and people know who's favored per FanDuel and yada yada yada. The 4-5 Falcons come in having lost to the Chargers in a really weird game. 20-17, Chargers took it. And then the Panthers come in 2-7 after getting absolutely blown out by the Bengals and Joe Mixon, 42-21. So I'm going to be going with the Falcons in this game. The Falcons are fighting with the Buccaneers for first place. They've played pretty good football this year despite everything. That's kind of what we thought they'd be coming into the season. They run the ball pretty well. Their defense is kind of meh, but again, they play very good offense, they run a pretty solid offense, especially against teams with kind of hit and miss defenses like the Panthers seem to have this year. And then you kind of have to look at the way the Panthers have played. They've been pretty bad on offense. They've been bad on defense at times. The coaching situation seems to be a mess. There doesn't seem to be anything really you could look at the Panthers and be like, oh, that could actually lead to a win over a team that's been pretty good, even against good teams this year. So for that purpose, I'm going to have to go with the Falcons. They, I usually have a rule that you never pick the Falcons. You just don't do it unless you have to pick the Falcons, which is, in this case, you have to pick the Falcons. I know it violates the rules, but I swear if they lose, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so mad. I hate them. Anyway, all right, let's go to the 1 o'clock games where there's actually some interesting matchups. 9:30 a.m. Of course, this game is going to be played in Germany, one of the first NFL games played there, maybe ever or in a very, very long time. The Bucs are favored by 2.5 with an over/under of 44.5. The Seahawks are coming in 6-3 off a 31-21 win versus the Cardinals. Seahawks carrying on with their winning with a bunch of rookies playing very well. And then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in 4-5 with off a pretty clutch win by a clutch win by the Buccaneers, 16-13, in which they were pretty much dead in the water until the last 40 seconds when Brady walked them down in 60 yards and scored a touchdown. So the reason I'm initially I was going to go with the Buccaneers in this game just because I was I don't know about this Seattle, but Brady. But it's also well, at this point, is there any real reason why you should look at the Buccaneers and be like, oh yeah, they're a guaranteed win versus anybody? Probably not. You have to look at the fact that their offensive line has been playing pretty poorly. Their offense has been struggling to score points. They seem out of sync, out of time. And then you have to kind of like, their defense has been all right. They're keeping them in the game. But then you have to go look at a team like Seattle, who's like playing as a super cohesive unit. The coaching is really good. The defense the last few games has been a lot better than when it started. Their offense has been just as consistent as it always has been. So I'm kind of looking at like, I have to kind of go with like recent trends. Seattle's defense has been playing good enough for their offense to get ahead. The coaching is really good, whereas like, yeah, Tampa's been playing good defense, but what has their offense been doing? Pretty much nothing. So I don't know. This feels like one of them games where you could be like, this feels just kind of like an upset, and you can kind of just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are going to pick the Seahawks in this one, but are we surprised if Tampa Bay wins? Probably not. So yeah, that one's a little bit hard to pick. This is like the only game that gave me any like pause. And then there's this one, but I don't know how this is going to go because of, all right, so let's get this out of the way. The Minnesota Vikings are playing the Buffalo Bills. It's in Buffalo. The Vikings come in 7-1 off a 20-17 win versus the Commanders. The Bills are 6-2 coming off a 20-17 loss versus the Jets. The Bills are 6.5 point favorites with an over under of 45.5. This game, I kind of have like an asterisk next to it because of the fact that like we don't know what's going on with Josh Allen's elbow. It could be a UCL sprain. It could just be UCL damage. He could try to play through it. It could cause some problems. We're not really certain. So right now we're kind of gonna go off the assumption he's gonna be able to play and he's gonna be able to be in this game at some point. And if that's the case, then I think the Bills will be able to win. This is one of them games where it's like, yeah, I know Minnesota's been playing really, really well, but it seems like Buffalo might have been looking past the Jets and ahead to the Vikings in this game. It just has that weird feeling to it, whereas I don't know. The thing is okay, so I know this is gonna sound weird, but like Minnesota has been playing very, very good football this year, but I don't necessarily know, like, they play a defense like the Commanders and then they struggle. Now they're going to go play a defense like the Bills, who have been clamping just about everybody down with a much better defense than the Commanders. So I'm wondering how the Vikings are going to look on the road against a really good team, which has been kind of like one of Kirk Cousins' like kryptonites. It's just a combination of things. And then like you have to imagine, is the Vikings defense ready to like deal with the Bills offense? So that's a big question. Again, we have to kind of review this game once we know the health of Josh Allen. So I'm putting the asterisks on it because we're like kind of like, I don't know. All right, the Detroit Lions take on the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 3-point favorites with an over/under of 48.5. So in this one, you have the 2-6 Lions, who come off a 15-9 upset of the Green Bay Packers. Funny game. And then you have the Bears, who played a really good game versus the Dolphins, but they lost 35-32. Essentially what I think the issue here is in this game, the Lions last game, yeah, they looked good on defense, but they kind of took advantage of the Packers, who were like, struggling very bad on offense. And then you kind of have to look at the reason I'm going Bears in this one is because since the Patriots game, the Bears have been scoring a lot of points. Sure, they've been giving up points and not been being able to like stop these teams, but they've also played Dallas, who has a good offense, Miami, who has a good offense, and now they're going up against the Lions, who have a pretty solid offense, which is why I'm giving Detroit 28. But the reason is also like, no one's really been able to stop the Bears since they've figured out how like their offense is going to work, how they're going to use Justin Fields. Fields has been kind of like this secret weapon. Detroit's already struggled with the Bears like for the last few years. I think they've struggled with Fields. So it's one of them things where I'm like, all right, so it's a guy they've already struggled with, who's playing at like a new level against a team that has found their identity on offense, maybe against a defense that's been pretty bad, historically bad. I think I have to go with the Bears in this one. Maybe the Lions can get the upset, but if their defense is like suddenly found an edge or an identity in Detroit and we just don't know it yet, maybe. But right now I have to go with the Bears with the super hot offense. Finally, a game I don't have to pay much mind to. The Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. The Chiefs are 9.5 point favorites with an over/under of 50.5. By the way, do you see now why I picked a bunch of home teams? Because it's like, well, it just screams home teams all the way down. The Jaguars come off a 27-20 win versus the Raiders. Pretty impressive, but again, it's the Raiders. And then the Chiefs finally beat the Titans in the regular season. Mahomes did with a 20-17 overtime win. Excuse me. So when I'm looking at this game, I'm like, all right, the Jaguars are a much better team than they've been in the past, but Again, they're going against the Chiefs, who just beat a team they never beat. Mahomes is on an MVP arc this year. The Chiefs' offense has been like white hot all season long. The only time they've really faltered was against a team like the Titans, who they struggle against. And it was really just scoring they struggled with. They put up like 500 yards of offense. So I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs in this one, mainly because, the Jaguars, again, they're a much better team than we've seen in the past, but I think this Chiefs team is just a bit outside their competition level. And if like, say the defenses break down, do you really trust young Trevor Lawrence to be able to win in a shootout versus Mahomes? That's, coaching as well. All right, the Cleveland Browns take on the Miami Dolphins. The Browns coming off a bye, they're 3-5. The Dolphins are 4-point favorites with an over/under of 48.5. And we just talked about Miami and the Bears, and Miami won. So I have the Dolphins winning 28-24, primarily because I don't know if Cleveland has the secondary to deal with these Miami's passing attack. If I'm correct, the Patriots with Bailey Zappi, it might have been Mac Jones, but I'm pretty sure it was Bailey Zappi, came into Cleveland and were able to throw the ball all over this team. And even if they didn't put up a bunch of yards, they made throwing the ball look way too easy. So when I think about things like that, and I think about how it seems like Cleveland's Achilles heel this season has been secondary play with their secondary play on their defense, I'm going to have to probably go with the Dolphins here. Again, maybe Cleveland keeps it close. They're probably able to hang in this game a little bit because, Miami's defense has been kind of shitty and Cleveland can run the ball really well with Chubb. But again, I think Miami's game plan is to just get ahead and make Cleveland have to throw it. And we've seen where if you can take away Nick Chubb and make them throw it, you can beat this team pretty handily. Them coming off a bye is helpful, but it is in Miami. Miami's offense is white hot right now, and the Browns secondary really, I don't think, has an answer for Tyreek Hill and Waddle. So give me the Dolphins. Houston Texans take on the New York Giants. The Texans coming off a 29-17 loss versus the Eagles. Texans are 1-6-1. The Giants are 6-2 coming off a bye. Giants are 6.5-point favorites with an over/under of 40.5. I'd be really surprised if anybody has the Texans winning in this game, because the Texans are clearly just like losing all their games. They're well on their way to the number one pick. I don't think they plan on winning again this year. The Giants are coming off a bye. They've been playing great defense this year, so I can't imagine Houston, whose offense has struggled, especially up front on the offensive line aspect, is going to look any good against this Giants defense. So give me the Giants 21-14. Maybe the Houston defense can keep them in it. This game I don't really care about. The New Orleans Saints take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hope I have both these teams' records right. I was kind of quick when I put them in there. The Steelers were bye. They're 2-6. The Saints are 3-6, coming off a 27-13 loss versus the Ravens. Saints are 2.5-point favorites with an over/under of 41.5. The reason I'm going with the Saints in this one is because they do play, sometimes they play pretty solid defense, and I know they just got beat up on by the Ravens, but I mean, if you put that defensive effort before the Steelers this year with that bad line, the pretty bad quarterback play, you can probably win this game. Also, we've seen the Saints kind of play when they play teams that are more on their level. They're able to win the game. They're able to do things. Will JJ Watt be back? Will that help? Maybe a little bit. Which is why I have it a little closer. But this Steelers offense has been pretty bad this year, so I have no real hope in picking them. I don't know. I don't really care about this game. The Denver Broncos take on the Tennessee Titans. The Broncos are 3-5 coming off a bye, a much needed bye week, I would imagine. And then the Tennessee Titans are 5-3 coming off a 20-17 loss versus the Chiefs. Titans are 3-point favorites with an over/under of 38.5. So when I look at this game, I basically think, all right, here's the Titans with a really good defense. Here's the Broncos with the struggling offense that has been unable to get anything going this year. And then you have to kind of look at all right, well, the Broncos defense has been pretty good, so they'll probably be able to contain this Titans offense. But again, as long as they can get 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns, I'm sure their defense will be able to hold off what has been a bad Broncos offense. So picking the Titans mainly because the Titans defense, which is underrated, especially with what they just did to Mahomes and company. They may have gave up yards, but they didn't give up points. So I can imagine the Broncos will have a lot of trouble scoring here. Yeah, I don't know. I just trust the Titans offense just a little bit more, especially if they're able to run Ryan Tannehill out there. That might make all the difference, and they'll probably win this game pretty handily. Even with Malik Willis, I think the Titans walk away with this one. Pretty tough, but they walk away with it. Primarily because I just don't trust Denver's offense. Until Denver's offense shows us something, it's hard to even imagine picking them. The Indianapolis Colts take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Colts, now led by Jeff Saturday, are 3-5-1, coming off a 26-3 loss to the Patriots, in which they looked absolutely abysmal. The Las Vegas Raiders are coming off a tough 27-20 loss versus the Jaguars. They are now 2-6, and they've blown multiple huge leads in games this year. But the Raiders are favored by 6.5 with an over/under of 42.5. So yeah, usually I like to pick interim coaches to win the next game that they coach, so I might regret this one. But with the way the Colts offensive line is playing, the quarterback play, it's literally actually impossible to pick them. The Patriots gave up 121 yards to the Colts, and 40 of those yards came in garbage time. And they got sacked 9 times. I think there was like 13 pressures. It was bad. So right now, again, with the Raiders having actually like pieces of a very good defensive line, I could imagine the Colts just not being able to do anything against them on offense. And again, the Colts play a pretty mean defense, but eventually you can probably score a couple points. So again, give me the Raiders until the Colts offense can show any sign of life. I like can't pick them. Like, that was bad. I didn't know it was that bad, but that was bad. And talk about bad offenses. Dallas Cowboys take on the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, the Mike McCarthy revenge game coming up. It is the Dallas Cowboys who are favored by 5 with an over/under of 42.5. Cowboys are 6-2 coming off a bye, so they're well rested, well prepared for Aaron Rodgers and company. Green Bay Packers are 3-6 coming off a tough 5-9 loss to the Lions, in which their offense was dead in the water, in which Aaron Rodgers probably had one of his worst games in a very, very long time, throwing multiple interceptions in the red zone. So yeah, this Packers offense is dead. The offensive line has been really bad. The receiving play just isn't very good. Rodgers is having to take a lot of risky shots, just trying to force things, make things happen, which is understandable. Yeah, I don't know. The Cowboys defense this year is much better than probably anything the Packers have played to this point. So they're going to have to go deal with arguably one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL, very well rested, off a bye, super prepared, amped up because it's their coach's revenge game. I feel very bad for the Packers in this one. If they win, it's like kind of an upset. It would be one of the bigger upsets of the weekend, simply because, again, their offense is dead. Cowboys have a crazy defense. Cowboys offense is white hot. So the Packers defense might be able to keep them in it, but ultimately, I don't know. That's might be a lamb to slaughter situation. Here's a game I had no idea how to pick either, but I went with the Cardinals ultimately. Arizona Cardinals take on the Los Angeles Rams, both teams coming off a loss. The Cardinals are 3-6, the Rams are 3-5. The Rams are favored by 3 with an over/under of 43.5. We've already gone over both of these. No, the Buccaneers. Yeah, we've already gone over. Yeah, both these, right? No, yeah, yep, we did. Okay, yeah, because the Seahawks and Bucs play next week. So yeah, the reason I have the Cardinals winning is because I have almost no faith left in the Rams offense at this point, until they're kind of in a similar spot to the Packers, Colts, and a couple other teams where it's like, man, where is it this year? Where's your offense? You could have won that game like 7 times against the Buccaneers if you could have done almost anything on offense, but they just weren't able to do anything. They just went dead. They just had nothing. They looked bad. Like, I don't know. Arizona may not look good this year, but at least they're scoring points. They're able to put points up. They may give up points, but they're also going up against a team that can't score because they have a bad line. The receiving, just everything's off. Until the Rams start showing that they have it back together on both sides of the ball, it's hard to pick them. Cardinals, again, they don't look any better, but right now it's kind of like at least they can score points. Give me the Rams, or give me the Cardinals. Sunday Night Football coming up. This is a really good game, really tough one to figure out. The Los Angeles Chargers are taking on the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are 7-point favorites with an over/under of 46.5. 49ers coming off a bye. We know the Chargers are coming off a 20-17 win. Yeah, I kind of agree that the Chargers are walking into a slaughter in this game. I don't know, the Chargers just have been super underwhelming. I don't think they defend the run very well, and they're about to go against one of the better running teams with McCaffrey, and the 49ers coming off they're going to be well rested, well prepared. The coaching advantage for the 49ers in this game is quite tremendous. Defensively, the 49ers are way better than the Chargers. I don't know, maybe people are going to pick the Chargers, but at this point you can't just be like, well, just it's like, yeah, cool, but they're not, they're 5-3, but it's got to be one of the more unimpressive 5-3s across the NFL. Again, they do very much struggle with the run, which is why I'm going with the Niners. Plus, I think they can be shut down on offense, especially since they're having like weird receiver issues. So I don't know, give me the 49ers. Monday Night Football, we got there's nothing really here to discuss. The Washington Commanders take on the Philadelphia Eagles. We've already gone over both their games. Eagles are 10-point favorites with an over-under 10.5 with an over-under of 43.5. So yeah, basically the real question is, will the Commanders cover what the spread is here? My guess is no, because I have the Eagles winning by 11. So I guess the Eagles, in my book, go to 9-0. Will the Commanders be able to do much? I don't think so. I don't think they're good enough to play in this game. This isn't the team that ends the Commanders win or the Eagles win streak, so we have to deal with the 9-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, there wasn't much to add to that game, by the way. But yeah, there's my record: 76, 59-1, 10-3, 10-4, 11-4, starting to do pretty good. So maybe hopefully this is another solid good week. But again, thank you so much for listening all the way through to the end here. We finished with the video. Week 10 in the books, week 10 all complete. Gonna get out of here before it's 22 minutes. But yeah, so that's week 10 for us. As always, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and leave your picks down below if you made it this far. Sorry to say it again. Yeah, so I don't know. There's one game we have to go over again on Saturday, 100%, maybe two, depending on like injuries and things like that. So yeah, all right. Well, that's about that. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, midday thing, like that time right before breakfast, all those weird twilight hours and yada yada yada. All right, thank you so much. Have a good one, regardless of when you listen to it. Just have a good one. All right, peace out. Go Lions, go Tigers, and of course it's always go Patriots. Week 10 in the books. Let's see how many we get right. Bye bye.